Hey everybody! Welcome back to Buddies on Buddies, the show with two real life buddies talking about buddy action comedy movies. I'm Kenny Lane.
I'm Lucas Hill.
Here we are
We're
again.
buddies.
Buddy time. All right.
Woo! Woo!
Woo, woo, woo. Ow!
Woo!
Yowza.
Yeah. How are you, Kenny?
Not bad, I guess. Not really a lot to report this time. It's been a few weeks, but let's see. I got nothing really. Basically just working and getting by. That's about it, I guess. Oh, I read a book. That's about it.
Oh, what book did you read?
I read No Country for Old Men, the Cormac McCarthy
Oh,
one.
that's a good book. That's a little novella. It's a two-sitter at most. Do you like it?
Yeah, it's pretty fast. Yeah, I liked it. Yeah, so I read The Road, so I've read one other Cormac McCarthy book, but he's a pretty good writer, that Cormac McCarthy. I'll be the first to say
it. Yeah, he's pretty good. I noticed like white men in their 20s, much like myself, like really get into Cormac McCarthy. Because he's writerly. It's like heavy. He doesn't hold your hand. Especially
right.
other stuff like Sutri and whatnot. He's one of the greatest to ever do it. As far as
I would say, he still holds up, pretty well even as I get older. I remember like being way into Hunter S. Thompson when I was in like my early 20s, being like reading all his stuff, and then as I got a little older, it's like punk rock or something. Like, this guy's full of shit. It just doesn't go with you as you get older, I think. But
it's like Bukowski. Bukowski was so cool, And
yeah.
They're all great authors. Don't get me wrong.
It's still readable, but yeah, Bukowski. It's hard, as you get older, it's hard to like really get in. Like, wow, I remember like some one of my friends came in and was like, "Let's go to this bar because Bukowski used to drink there." And I'm like, see that bus stop over there? I'm sure Bukowski drank there too. He drank fucking everywhere. It doesn't really matter.
That's good. I've been reading actually, and it's one of the best books I've read in a long time, though I'm not through it completely, but Roots.
Wow, going for Roots, huh?
Yeah, no, hold on. I know what you're going to say. Just let me talk about the book first, okay?
What was I going
to say? Kenny, can I just talk about the book real quick and then we'll move on? I don't want to get you in trouble, okay?
How about it?
It is phenomenally written. It is one of the better books I've read in a long time. I don't want to hear your thoughts on fucking American slave trade and everything like that. Let's just move on. But the book's very good. Let's move on, okay?
Okay.
Please, can we just move on?
Sounds like you don't want to move on. So what's
here we go.
Yeah. What, we can pay reparations now? Is that what we're going to do there, Lucas?
Okay, stop it.
That was going on.
Stop it, Kenny.
What do you think I was going to say?
Well, I don't want to even get into it. Kenny, what movie are we reviewing this week? Jesus Christ.
We are reviewing Amistad. And we're going to no.
I wish we could.
We're going to be reviewing the 1997 New Line Cinema release, Money Talks, directed by Brett Ratner, starring Chris Tucker and Charlie Sheen.
Great. And before we get into that, and we can't wait because there's a lot to get into.
Oh, yeah.
Is there anything else you watched this week that you want to talk about?
Well, the last couple of weeks I saw Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Did you see that yet?
I haven't. What'd you think? No spoilers.
I liked it a lot. Yeah, I did like it a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
It's one of my favorite Marvel of the MCU series. I haven't liked any of the last Marvel movies I've seen.
Did you watch the new Ant-Man, the Quantumania one?
I didn't. No, I heard it wasn't very good, but I didn't like.
I liked it, but anyway, I just curious. Sorry, go. Yeah, I did.
Well, I didn't like. Can I go say this is my?
Just shut the fuck up and keep talking. Why don't you shut up and keep talking? God, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I will.
This is what happens when I bring up Roots to like you just get all fucking like a high.
Yeah. Can a 41-year-old white guy just talk about MCU for a second without getting interrupted?
You're right. Sorry for putting Roots on your plate. Go ahead. MCU.
Well,
go.
Excuse me, precious literature. I was watching the MCU
movie, Guardians 3. Whatever. Keep going.
Okay. Well, I haven't really liked like Doc Strange 2, or I saw like what was some of the other ones I saw, or Shang-Chi, or any of those. So I didn't see Eternals, didn't see Ant-Man 3. But I really like Guardians 3. It's like one of my, it might be my least favorite of the 3 movies, but still, I thought it was really good. And I saw Air. Did you see Air yet?
Not yet. No. I've heard good things, but it's one of those movies like I don't care about Nike as a corporation.
Corporation?
Yeah, like going to the child labor or any of that.
Yeah.
Touch on it.
Oh, they talk about a little. They briefly touch on it, yeah, but it's not really like they really go into it. But yeah, I mean that's my issue with it's like one of those dad movies like Moneyball or Ford versus Ferrari. I remember watching Ford versus Ferrari and been like, why the fuck do I care about a pissing contest between two major fucking car companies? Like, who gives a fuck? But Nike, it takes place like in Portland. That's where Nike's at and stuff. So there's a little more like Northwest stuff, and plus like being around Eugene, like the Phil Knight story and stuff. So I like that kind of stuff. But if you like those movies like Moneyball or Draft Day or Ford versus Ferrari or something, it's worth seeing.
And I do, and I will watch it, but I'm not running out to the theater. I watched Evil Dead Rise.
Yeah.
That was fun.
That?
It's fun. It's fun, entertaining. Mary watched it. There's some good cringe horror movies where like, there's a scene where a cheese grater's involved, and Mary's like, I can't watch that. But it's not as groundbreaking or boundary pushing as you would hope.
Well, I mean, it's like the fifth or sixth movie now. I mean, how boundary
I know,
pushing
but
could
the
it be?
reviews are strong with this, so I was expecting a little bit more. And I'm sure you watched my letterbox. That's at Trade Me Faces, and Night Train is Kenny's. But why did they just abandon the humor? That's what made this series. The first one was groundbreaking, but it didn't become transcendent until the second one when they introduced the dark humor.
Right,
So
which is basically a remake of the original too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the third one's just like a full-on comedy.
Right.
So I was hoping that they would incorporate some of that, but there's zero like intentional jokes,
Well, yeah, I noticed like 15, 20 years ago or something, like a lot of like horror movies and action movies just lost their sense of humor completely. Like it became like the Bourne movies or watch like the new James Bond movies are so serious. And like some of the horror movies too, everything they take themselves so seriously. It's like where's the like Child's Play and stuff back in the day wasn't that serious. Jaws wasn't that serious, all these things. So I don't know. It just seems like, yeah, that was just they just happened and they have no sense of humor anymore.
It'll change. Ebbs and
flows. Around.
And here's a curveball for you. We watched what's it called? Puss in Boots, the new one.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, because I made her watch the horror movie. Evil Dead Rise. So I was like, we'll just, rinse her mouth out. It was Friday night. We'll watch this thing. And it was great. And she loved it. I loved it. It's a really well-made anime. It's one of the, I've gotten over animated movies. Like Pixar hasn't made a good one in a long time.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
And I thought this one was great. Like great character arcs, everything. It's entertaining. It's visually appealing. It's funny. Highly suggest it. Like throw it on.
Yeah.
You will in the first 10 minutes, like me. I was like, oh, Jesus Christ. It's just another stupid fucking other singing shit. But once you settle into the story, it's pretty good. It's funny. You'll like it. I think.
Yeah, when I do double feature, I do like to do that. I do like to have like a Steven Seagal movie and then like Troop Beverly Hills or something. Just like, I don't like to watch the same genre twice in a row.
You like to have a real two crap fest back to back.
Right.
Just in different genres. Yeah, that's all you care about.
Let's hear some this crap over here, so this crap over there.
Yeah, now we're fucking cooking.
Now we're flying. Now we're flying, baby. What was that?
I don't know. You sucking a bag full of
glue or
glue, sure. I was gonna say spray paint, but that works too. Glue.
Spray paint's too classy for me.
Yeah.
Strip glue.
Plus, I have a job. I can't do that.
You have the chrome mug there anymore. Yeah.
All right. Well, I feel good about that. Is there anything else you want to talk about your personal life before we move on?
No, I keep that all off limits. I'm like, it's I gotta be. Well, I don't know. Sure, let's get into my personal life. What do you want to know? Family, relationship, work, anything? Is work personal life? I don't know. Maybe.
Let's just move on.
Okay.
So the movie we watched is Money Talks. And what did you think of this preliminary?
You're gonna go first. You see. Here's the thing.
Fine.
You always ask me first because I think you want to see what I say so you can bounce off it. But this time, Luke, you're going first. Let's see what you get.
how am I supposed to form my opinion without Kenny's expert opinion?
Exactly.
I'm lost at
Yeah.
sea here.
You're lost. You can't go anywhere to go.
Yeah.
You're floundering.
I actually loved it. I thought it was really fucking
Really?
fun. And
Yeah.
it's not. It was one of the best we've seen, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I'll get into more, but there were issues, especially for a buddy action comedy. But I really enjoyed it for the most part. And before I go into more detail, what did you think?
Well, I'll say that you're correct. There have been better movies that we've reviewed that we've gone over, reviewed on this show and stuff. I found it to be a real slog. In fact, I had to read it twice because I just started it and then didn't finish it and then had to read it again. So I had two pay for rentals. And yeah, I don't know but I don't know really what it is that like was just not working for me. I don't know. I think I know. I maybe I'll go into that, but I don't know. Well, that's basically what I got. It was rough, tough to get to for me. I don't know.
Well, instead of like coming from this from a combative angle, which is my instinct, most of the time we agree, so
Yeah.
it's going to be an interesting time where we don't agree because I did like the movie. I thought Chris
It's okay
Tucker.
to disagree.
What's that?
It's okay to disagree about Money Talks. That was a big push during '97. You never has to like it.
You're not your opinion on Money Talks. You're a human.
No, you're not. No.
I thought for a Chris Tucker showcase, which is basically what this was, I think Friday was before this,
Yeah.
The studio backed him. They gave him a big star at the time, Charlie Sheen, to play opposite him. And I thought he was fucking hilarious. Now, it does get bogged down into the normal narrative issues with a lot of action movies, especially buddy cop action movies, where the last act is just all action and all that fun and humor is thrown away.
Yeah.
But I thought he was fucking hilarious. Like, he is really fucking funny and deserves his time as a Hollywood star in that pocket he was in, through the Rush Hour movies. So I thought he was fucking hilarious in this.
Well, you're alone in that. No one agrees with that. Everyone hates. No, I think Chris Tucker. Yeah, I think the thing was with me is like it's kind of like watching like Ace Ventura now or something, where Chris Tucker. Yeah, he was in Friday, but Friday was kind of a sleeper hit, and then became like a classic later on like video and stuff. But this was his first. You're right, like first like real big studio push movie, and they just let him go, let him fly. He even gets an executive producer credit at the beginning, which is surprising for it being kind of his first big starring role.
Like his first starring role, yeah.
But when I remember liking this when I was like 15 or whatever when it came out. But I think it's just like now that it's been 3 Rush Hour movies, and his career kind of went up, and then kind of I don't know, he spent a long time between movies and stuff. I think his shtick just wasn't that fresh for him anymore. So, and this movie is just a lot of him just doing his shtick big. And it's not really it qualifies as a buddy action comedy, but after like the first 15 minutes.
We'll get into that.
Yeah, it's Charlie Sheen. I don't even know why he even took this role other than being it because it's like a nothing part. And his movie career at least was waning. It was like 10 or 11 years after like Platoon and Wall Street. So I didn't think they had any chemistry at all. So I mean, if you love Chris Tucker and Chris Tucker's shtick, this movie's got plenty of it. It's just
it is. Really, and you were concerned before we did this that it wasn't a buddy action comedy because it wasn't really a buddy movie. That was a Chris Tucker movie.
Right.
In some aspects, you're right. This is Chris Tucker's movie.
It's completely Chris Tucker's movie. Yeah.
Yeah, but I would argue that it's still a buddy action comedy. There's enough of Charlie Sheen, that buddy element's there. It should have and could have been developed further, but it is a Chris Tucker movie, but still a buddy action comedy and is worthy of our critique.
It's worthy of covering, I guess, because like if we're going to cover Glimmerman or something where one person is just so far pushed as like the star of this, but like I said, like Charlie Sheen didn't really seem to have a lot to do at all. I think maybe a lot of scenes got cut because of Chris Tucker's executive producer credit. It just said like get that shit out of there. But
also Charlie Sheen, they wanted to put his name ahead of Chris Tucker's in the marketing and like the title, and he was the one, according to the stories, was saying, no, this is Chris Tucker's movie. His name goes first. You know, like he
Yeah.
said that. I don't know how
Yeah.
much truth is to that, but that's what the stories were.
Yeah, I don't know. That seems like something like maybe like his publicist might say or something like that, or it could happen. Who knows? But yeah, I don't know. It just seemed like this for a movie that's co-starring Charlie Sheen at the time, who was still a name, and it just doesn't seem like he was like I almost forgot he was in it.
And before we go into like some of because the movie does a lot of things well, that's one of the main
Mhm.
issues with the movie is that they don't give that buddy relationship time to breathe
No,
at all.
they
Like
don't.
they need to spend
Yeah,
more time together.
right.
He brings him to his apartment and it makes
Mhm.
no sense. He's like, "You're coming to my rehearsal dinner with me." Just leave him at the
Yeah.
fucking apartment. Why are you bringing him to the rehearsal dinner? It doesn't make any
Yeah.
fucking sense whatsoever. They have
Yeah.
no time to like spend time together,
Hmm.
forced together. It starts off so well where he gets him in trouble at the beginning
Yeah.
when he's interviewing him at the car wash, and then he forces them to the dinner, the rehearsal dinner, and he
Mhm.
talks about how you have to come to my wedding, and then nada until like the climax.
Yeah, he like totally disappears basically. Then he's brought into the climax because why? Because he just needs to be there, I guess. And yeah, like I said, when I started watching, I was like, oh, actually, is a lot of scenes with them together. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe this is a total like, but then they're separated, and then it becomes the Chris Tucker show completely. Like after like the first, I don't know, 20 minutes or so.
Yeah, and I was like, when I was watching, I was like, Kenny's fucking wrong. Lucas has got him again.
Mhm.
Kenny's on the ropes.
Yeah,
Lucas
and
is
then
right.
poof. Yeah.
Then he knocked me out with a fucking phantom punch. But I wrote this down because the funniest part of this
Uh
was
huh.
one line that was actually by Charlie Sheen.
Yeah.
And Chris Tucker's talking about all the tell Charlie Sheen pulled in college
Hmm.
at the rehearsal dinner with
Hmm.
with his fiance's dad, Paul
Hmm.
Sorvino. And he goes, "Oh yeah, you still." He's like, "Yeah, I fucked all the women, all the guys. I fucked them all." You remember that line?
I don't even remember that line. Most of
Oh,
it's
funny.
fast. Most of
Yeah.
it attention. I had the one part I ever laughed at was just during the chase scene where you just see like Chris Tucker's car just drive by, and he's just screaming that like Michael Jackson scream, like
Yeah.
you know,
He had the
and
high pitch screen like 3 times during
every
the.
time, yeah, I just thought that was pretty funny. Like Chris Tucker is funny in this. He's a funny guy and stuff. I guess I was just like his shtick was just so fresh and new at that time, and then to see it now, it's like, oh yeah, I kind of remember this.
There were a couple things like he's walking down. He's like, "I'm out of here." Blah 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 blah. And he
Hmm.
leaves, and the cops drive by, and he does a complete 180 and starts
Hmm.
walk like he spins on his heels and walks back, which is really
Yeah.
funny. Then he did a lot of things that I was clocking that were nonverbal, even though he's a verbal
Hmm.
comedian. The
Yeah.
way he looks at people, like someone would say something, he's like, he's constantly active in the
His
frame.
eyes are just so
Yeah,
bugged
he's
all
just
the time.
moving
Mhm.
constantly. Like there's always something to look at.
Yeah.
So it was very impressive, in my opinion. I know it's hard to like put past, like we already know him from the Rush Hour movies and everything like that,
Yeah.
but it was a very impressive comedic display. Not quite
Mhm.
like some bigger actors, you know. I mean, obviously, this movie didn't do that well domestically.
It did okay. It did enough for them to put him into the Rush Hour franchise. I think it made enough money for them to keep going with them.
Yeah,
And
they
Brett Ratner.
enough to belt. Yeah, and Brett Ratner, which we should touch upon.
Mhm.
But it wasn't like the blow up success of
Beverly Hills Cop or something. Yeah.
Beverly Hills Cop or what's it called? Fuck me, why can't I think of it? The stupid Pet Detective, you know?
Ace
Where
Ventura. Yeah, it
yeah,
wasn't
where
like
the
a
Phoenix like
smash out
blow
of the
up
gate,
on the
but
scene. Yeah.
I think it did well enough too on video that by the time Rush Hour came out, more people were kind of familiar with uh, Tucker and Jackie Chan. Like that became like that was the big hit. Then Rush Hour 2 was like a big fucking smash. So
Right.
I think it did. It basically they were kind of prepping him to be a big star for the company, New Line. So it did its job, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's good enough that the studio was like, we can believe in this director and this talent. And
Hmm.
Brett Ratner, who I'm no fan of, obviously knows how to use Chris Tucker and
Yeah.
not keep him in his pocket and let him do his fucking thing. And
Right. I guess I don't know if you probably read the trivia where they had an original director who had been prepping this movie for like 6 months, and then they let him go over creative differences with Tucker. And then Tucker actually brought Brett Ratner on like last minute because they had done some music video together or something like a little previously. So Brett Ratner was kind of just a last minute replacement for this director. And yeah, so he kind of was just like, boom, okay, now you're in like big mainstream movies. Just like, go. And it's competently made. I mean, it's like, what do you think of the action scenes?
They were fine. I mean, a lot of cutting and shit that I'm not into, but as far as generic buddy action comedies go, they're middle tier.
Mm-hmm.
I like the ending being at the Coliseum, and
Yeah.
that's a big set piece, and they used it well with
Mm-hmm.
different parties converging at once.
Yeah.
Is anything I would be like, well, now that's a cool action sequence? No, there was none of that.
Yeah.
But it was
Right.
action enough to make this an action movie that any
Sure.
dad would be happy to sit through.
Yeah, there was plenty of action for it to qualify as an action comedy and stuff. Did you buy the whole girlfriend character of Chris Tucker's, especially the first one? He's just such this like kind of low life character that's just kind of wild and just saying crazy shit in prison, and then he gets out. He has this really like pretty, very put together sensible girlfriend. Did you buy that at all?
He also lived in a very spacious apartment. Well, here's the thing, like
he's a scalper. Like what?
No, he was more than that. He had a bunch of different things going. So he was making good money. That's why the news converged on him. When he was working in the what's it called?
Car wash.
Car wash. Yeah. He was making good money, had a bunch of things going. He had a lot of money flowing through his hands. So I don't know. Look, you can't blame the guy because the woman chooses him.
Yeah. Hey, we like that too. So
hey, yeah, exactly.
It happens sometimes. Total pieces of shit end up with good gals. So
hey, you can get upset, but you're the one who made the decision to be with me.
You're not mad at me. You're mad at your dad.
Jesus Christ. No, I don't know. I mean, he's an attractive, young, entrepreneuring black man who.
All right, we'll get
money.
that to him. Yeah.
What?
So we'll get that to him. But I mean, it is kind of a cliche with these like guys, especially like TV, like sitcom guys, just have these like very attractive, sensible wives, and they're just fucking total like fucking what,
Yeah, but sometimes I watch these things with my wife. I'm like, well, you're with me.
Well, that's what we just said. So hey, it happens in it's real life, man.
Hey, sometimes art imitates life. It's not always the other way around.
Yeah.
Plus, women don't know what they want.
No, we have to tell them. We have to mansplain it to them.
That's what Buddies on Buddies does.
Mansplains things to our girlfriends.
Well, mine's a wife, so.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
That's all right. What is the plot of?
Money Talks?
Yeah, we forgot to do the plot.
We always forget. At this point, well, I guess it's just like this guy who's a wheeler dealer working at a car wash, but has his hand in many pots of various crime or something.
Yeah, I already covered that.
Arrested, set up. He breaks free. Kind of like or it doesn't break free, but like basically, Can
we get this in 2 sentences? Let's try again.
Go for it.
No, you go ahead. No, you go ahead. I want you to try again. Yeah.
Chris Tucker's doing his shtick. That is the fucking movie. And Charlie Sheen is kind of there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's kind of chubby in this. I was like, is he just like coked or drunked out? But But he's doing nothing.
Well, he could have been, I've heard, I don't know if it's true or not, but I heard that Charlie Sheen occasionally likes to party. And back in the day, he liked to party a lot.
Uh-huh.
Did you hear, not to go on the behind the scenes stuff already, but like, did you hear about the publicity like interview for Sit Down or something?
Mm-hmm.
And Charlie Sheen sat down when they asked him like, what's this movie about? He said, it's simple. Papa Bear is Baby Bear is Papa Bear, but Mama Bear is always Mama Bear. And then his publicist immediately ended the interview and got him the fuck out of there. Could we go over that like real fast, just see what that? Okay, so Papa Bear is Baby Bear. What's that mean?
Well, what we're learning here is that the patriarch and the relationship is actually the young one who needs to learn something. What's the next one?
Okay. Next one is Baby Bear is Papa Bear.
And then as the baby bear learns something,
Mm-hmm.
becomes Papa Bear again.
It's a cycle.
It's all a cycle. Go ahead. What's the next one?
And then, but Mama Bear is always Mama Bear.
Yeah. So that's some feminist bullshit I don't even want to get into about how they run the world and stuff. I don't even want to touch on that. What's the next
this
one?
all ties into Money Talks How.
Look, the guy's a fucking cokehead. That's yeah. But how can you be so chubby as a cokehead?
Yeah.
I've done coke.
Well, you should write him a letter. Coke. Well, he's lost a lot of weight now, because he's, got the old HIV, but, so he listened to your words, I guess.
Yeah. It pisses me off when cokeheads are fat. I don't know. That's just me.
Your big pet peeve?
It's a pet peeve of mine.
Yeah. All right.
How would you, do you have anything else to say about this movie?
A couple of things. So this guy, now, one of the main big dickheads in movies of the 80s, like in Breakfast Club, the principal, I guess.
Oh, yeah,
like
he's great. Yeah.
When they first introduced that character, spoiler, but like, I was like, oh, he's actually a nice character. They're going to flip that. That's actually smart. That's actually, oh, no, he's just a fucking evil guy.
I knew immediately.
That's so telegraphed at that point,
I knew immediately the second he appeared, like, that guy's bad.
Well, yeah, because he plays like a fucking bad guy, like the dickhead and everything. So I was like, oh, they're going to flip it this time to kind of like psych you out. But no, yeah. So I was like, oh, okay, great.
But it sounds like they got you for a few seconds.
Like, well, because I thought they were smarter than they were.
Yeah, no, they're just trying to make a movie.
Yeah. Let's see here. When they're going in the very opening sequence, they're going over like a downtown bridge that's used in everything. And I drove all over LA, living there for like 13 years. I know every like fucking back ways all over the west side and stuff. Do you know where that fucking bridge is? I don't remember ever driving over that bridge. It's used in so many fucking commercials and movies. And
they just
talking about, right?
They just redid it. Now I swear to God, they just remade the bridge with the arcs now.
Yeah,
now
and it's downtown in the background.
They redid that. It just opened up like last year, I want to say. And now I swear to God, the only reason they redid that bridge and made it like that is for commercial shoots, because that's
it can't be on the way to anywhere, because I never drove over.
Well, it's between downtown and a lower income area, so you as a privileged male wouldn't have any reason to cross that bridge.
Well, just funny, just like I feel like I could go pretty much anywhere, and then I know it's used for everything. Like that's a main main road for like everything. But yeah, I just always wonder like where the fuck is that bridge?
But I mean, there's really no reason, and there's some more productions in El Segundo lately and stuff. But there's no reason for us at that era when we were PAs and runners and shit.
Right.
We never went south of the 10. Very rarely, Yeah. Except to go to Paramount. That's it. And like that as south as you went. Or Sony. Sorry, Sony.
Sony, yeah.
So, yeah, it's just your classism.
Thank you. Thanks for clearing that up. Yeah,
you
drive over the bridge all the time to visit these low-income places, right? You're gonna hand out turkeys like Nino Brown and Jack City.
They don't want my food. I go down there and I like to sit down. I like to talk to them. I like to take their hand. I like to hear their struggle.
Yeah, I think you're doing the shame on all of them when you.
Shame.
Yeah, the bell. Shame.
Off my streets. This actually reminds me of an ongoing joke I have with Mary. I don't do it as much anymore, but I used to love when she's driving and I would yell when people are walking, yell at the windows. I don't do it as much as I used to as a younger man. Yelling out the window. But I would yell, "Get off the sidewalk." And I thought it was like the funniest thing.
Oh, because you like to freak out squares that are just on the sidewalk.
Yeah, people would be walking like, "Get off the sidewalk," and you just change the inflection and everything.
Yeah,
and it's really funny to watch people because they're like.
my big driving gag was I would pull up to someone on the sidewalk in LA, and I say, "Excuse me, do you know where the nearest gas station is?" And they'd be like, "Oh yeah, you just got to pull off." And leave them there. Why someone would do that?
I can't remember if I told you the story, but back when we used to be friends with Erin, I mean, we're still friends with Erin, we just don't talk to her. But
Right.
a couple stopped us when we lived in Palms.
Uh-huh.
We were driving, like, hey, do you know how to get to whatever the place? And we're like, we conferred, like, oh yeah, you go that way. And hey, when you hit that, just keep going. It's that way. Just go as far as you can that way. And then they left, and then we like realized like 5 minutes later, like, wait a minute, we told them the opposite way. Like
You didn't do it on purpose. It was just
no,
like, yeah,
no, not on purpose at all.
keep driving, keep
Yeah.
driving.
Not only that, we said, hey, if it feels wrong, just keep fucking driving. You're gonna get to where you need to be. But we had told them the exact opposite direction, and we felt horrible. But what can you do?
I was with Andy one time when he drove about 15 miles, and 15 miles on a street in LA is a long way before he realized, oh, I think I missed the turn. And it was like, so I didn't know where we were going, but he knew apparently. And it was, yeah, it was like, we had gone about 45 minutes in the wrong past our turn without him really even realizing it.
I'll do that with Mary because she's so bad with directions. I'll just like, you know what, this time I'm not going to say anything.
The force guide you.
Yeah, and then like we pass the exit, keep going, keep going. I've only done it once or twice because I'm so crazy about being on time and shit. Until she can like sense I'm anxious, like, am I going the wrong way? I'm like, yeah, you're going the wrong way.
Just explode. I won't say anything. I would just silently build up
resentment. God love her.
Yeah.
So how would you rate this?
I'm gonna give it 2.5 on the buddy.
On the buddy scale?
It probably deserves more. It's just because I said it wasn't incompetent. It wasn't anything wrong with it. I just, for some reason, it just wasn't working for me. Even though like it clearly is not as bad as a lot of the movies we've seen on here.
Yeah, it's weird it didn't work for you, but that's the time you watch it, whatever,
Yeah, if you're like just sober on a Monday, like I will watch Money Talks now. A lot of these movies are much better with a couple of beers and enjoying it.
All of them are, I think. Like,
all of them. Yeah.
I would give it 3.5 on the buddy scale and 2.5 on a movie scale. Because the plot doesn't make sense. I was even like racking my brain, like.
Do you know who Vic Damone is?
No, not off the top of my head.
Yeah, I had to Google that today. Like Spotify, I didn't recognize any of his songs. That's like an ongoing joke. I tell people he's Vic Damone's son, and I was like, "Who the fuck is that?" And yeah, I still don't really know.
After Googling it, you still have no idea.
I know. I still like. Well, usually, oh, that's his song. That's his song. There's just a list of his greatest hits. I'm like, "Fuck are these?"
I did like Paul Sorvino and Chris Tucker's relationship.
Yeah.
Like, hey, will you lend me $1 million? Lend me $2 million? And they like he's really funny in the movie.
Yeah.
And I think it's something, if you were to rewatch it, not that you would or anybody would, because it's Money Talks, like,
yeah,
there are so many little subtleties and fun things in his performance that
it's the Chris Tucker show that definitely this movie.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think they should focus more on the relationship between Chris Tucker and Charlie Sheen.
Yeah, it's not.
It could have been something special.
Special, and I would. It's hard even to call it a buddy action comedy, but it qualifies.
It 100% qualifies. I also like the idea that he's a street level con artist and he's a news reporter. That's a very interesting dynamic for a
could have something with that versus just like two cops or two private eyes or bounty hunters or something. So they get something with that, but then I don't think they really knew where to go with it after they kind of set it up. And like I said, Charlie Sheen didn't have this part doesn't have much to do. Just sits, it's all Chris Tucker.
Yeah, and then they have the whole Charlie Sheen thing where he gets fired, and then he gets the interview, and they're like, "Oh, you're not fired anymore," and then we just abandon that. Let's just move. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
And I don't think they had that good of chemistry either. It almost seemed like they were like in two different movies. Yeah.
But yeah, I give it 3.5 as a buddy action comedy because it was buddy. It was action. It was a comedy, and Chris Tucker carried it. But as a movie itself, 2.5.
Yeah. So for next time, since it's my pick, I actually Megan, who's a fan of the show, I told her, I was like, you can pick a buddy action comedy movie for us to review.
All right, what do you got, Megan? What do you got?
We watched a bunch of trailers, and she picked Miami Super Cops from 1985. Are you familiar with it?
Who wouldn't be familiar with Miami Super Cops from 1985? I was 4 years old. Miami Super Cops is all the rage.
All the rage. All our kids' lunch boxes at school. Miami Super Cops. It's well, you know Terrence Hill from Spaghetti Westerns,
Yeah, I
and
know
you're
Terrence
familiar
Hill.
with Bud Spencer. The guys they did a bunch of movies together.
Hey, if their name's Bud, I'm familiar with them.
Bud Spencer and Terrence Hill, Italy. They did a ton of buddy action stuff together. This is one of their last ones, but it takes place in Miami. It's an Italian movie directed by it's not Sergio Caberci. I think it's his brother, but it looks pretty fun from the trailer.
Okay, and it's a comedy.
It looks definitely like a buddy action comedy, yeah,
Okay.
from the trailer at least.
All right. I don't know why we do this to ourselves.
Because we enjoy it. that's not because we're making big money.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well.
All right. Well, see you next week for sure.
Not next week. Not next week.
No. At all. Yeah.
No. This is going to be a mid-June.
Time with the pit to see Miami Super Cops. Yeah. All right. Well, do you want to ask me a provocative question so you can cut away real fast?
No, I just want to know what your deal is about saying the Civil War wasn't about slavery or racism.